Well, the Assistant Treasurer, Stephen Jones, has racked up $43,000 for hire car rides to Parliament in just 9 months. According to the Daily Telegraph this morning, that includes several expensive one-way trips between his Shellharbour home and Parliament House in Canberra. Joining us live now is the Independent Senator Jacqui Lambie. Jacqui, good morning to you. So it was Tony Burke who was cited last week for his $57,000 US taxpayer-funded bill. Now it's Stephen Jones. What are your thoughts on that car bill?
Well, considering he's the Assistant Treasurer, I find it absolutely disgusting. And why isn't he driving himself from his house to Parliament, which is about 200 to 220 k's away? Everybody else is expected to do that. So I just don't understand. It's free parking in Parliament. So why wouldn't you be driving the car that they're already paying for and stop using a com car? I mean, seriously, I think sometimes being a political figure, it goes right to their head and they think their entitlement just blows me away.
Is it within the rules, though, to use that com car?
Yep, unfortunately it is in the rules to use that com car, but they are auditing, and they are auditing very heavily up there. I would suggest, instead of coming for the independents or the micros up there, you may want to go to the Labor Party and start auditing them. I'll say that much out there today.
Well, we had Bronwyn Bishop. She was on with Paul Murray last week saying she was unfairly criticised for that $5,000 chopper bill. Now she's turned that attention to Tony Burke, that he should pay that back. Should the same be applied to Stephen Jones now, that logic?
I just think that's why audits are done, and if he did not have a reason why he should have been using that com car, then he should get that bill, especially from his house to Parliament when he already gets a payment for a private vehicle. That is ridiculous. It's just self-serving at its best peak. Quite frankly, I think Australians doing it economically tough up there, and they've had a gutful.
No, it does sound like a big bill, that's for sure. Speaking of bills, let's go to Jim Chalmers. That's Stephen's superior. He's to announce a series of nuisance tariff cuts in Sydney in a speech in a short while, not far from now. So, Jacqui, this is supposedly going to save businesses around $30 million a year, which doesn't really sound like much, but is it worth it to bring on productivity?
I'm not sure whether it's going to bring on productivity. And by the way, I noticed they're mentioning chopsticks, which is fabulous. What, we can't make them here in Australia? That just blows me away. We've learnt nothing from COVID. To me, that just says, what, we can't even make chopsticks here. We're paying tariffs because we've got to order them from overseas. I mean, seriously, what happened to making Australia make again? That would be my first point. We've done a heap of industrial relations changes up there. Small business to medium business are doing it really tough, and he better have a hell of a lot more on the table to offer them, mate, because I'm seeing more lease signs out around my streets on the northwest coast than what I've seen in a long time. That means those small businesses are not surviving. You promised, Labor promised, when it come in to government, it would get rid of a lot of red tape for those small to medium businesses. And quite frankly, if this is your answer, it is absolutely shameful this morning. You ain't saving anyone, let alone those businesses around Australia.
So the expectation would be that ultimately this would, lower the costs, whether it's chopsticks or fridges or whatever. But, if history has shown us anything when it comes to inflation, that once prices rise, they don't come down.
No, they don't usually come down, and I'll tell you now, those businesses are looking for a little bit of profit that they can actually make, mate, because they're doing it tough out there right now. So I'm not sure whether how much is going to get down to consumer, but you're only looking at, what'd you say, 30 million for a lot of, what is it, 300 or 500 products out there?
Yeah.
What are you going to save, 10 or 20 cents? Seriously, mate, they better come up with better offers than this rubbish that they're coming up with to give people a cost of living out there just a little bit more room to move. This is just tipping around the edges of it, and it's not good enough.
Just finally, while I've got you, Jacqui, I mean, there's some nations, more so in Europe, that are now thinking, well, the funding to UNRWA should be reinstated. Sweden's certainly doing it. I just spoke to Matt Thistlethwaite about it, and he said negotiations are still ongoing. Given UNRWA's got those links with Hamas, do you think the Australian government should change its mind and reinstate that funding to UNRWA?
I think the Australian government should find somebody else that is doing that thing in there, whether it's somebody like Red Cross or whatever, and making sure that wherever our check is going to, that it is going to those kids and those families that need it most on the Gaza Strip. That's what I think.
Not UNRWA.
What we did learn about foreign aid, while the investigation's going on, how can you possibly give any money back to UNRWA? The other thing I would like to see is the president over there is allowing a lot more time for that aid to get through when it actually finally gets there. Because quite frankly, those ceasefires, there needs to be more of them in there. If this is what you're using to get your hostages released, Pete, and you haven't been able to do that, then I suggest you change your tact. Because right now you've got people starving out there. Sure, we want those hostages released, but surely at what price for other people, other human beings in that strip? That's what I want. And quite frankly, the Western countries should be putting their boot into him and saying, you need to deliver more aid. We need it in there, and therefore we're going to need more hours of ceasefire. That's what should be going on over there.
Jacqui Lambie, good to see you as always. We'll chat to you again soon.